Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Scrimale and I'm in product marketing at Eightfold. And I'm here with Rahul Dhatariya from Tata Communications to talk about the future of talent management and the role of AI in the talent lifecycle. So super excited to chat with you today, Rahul. I will kick it over to you to do a quick intro and give us an overview of your role at Tata.
Thank you, Jess. Hi all. I am Rahul Dhatariya, and I have close to 18 years of industry experience. And I started my career with a Big Four consulting company, and I worked into different domains of consulting, right from business consulting, financial consulting, technology consulting, and the social consulting piece. And then I moved into the corporate world. On the other side of the desk, there I worked with some of the large global telecom companies, and finally I'm with Tata Communications, where I started my career with in talent management and employee engagement piece. But I think since last 4 years, I moved into HR technology, HR shared service management, and then the people and analytics. And that is how I am supporting the entire HR function in these three areas. So besides my corporate, I am also a part of some of the initiative which is run by the government of India. Let's say AI India 2021. So I'm a part of their management committee. And then CII Skill Transformation. I'm a part of their management committee. And I'm also a part of Executive Innovation Board of SAP India.
So you're a busy guy, it sounds like. Would
Yeah.
love to hear a little bit about your. So talk me through what's going on at Tata. What is the kind of high level talent management strategy there?
See, if you look at Tata, and I think that's true with most of the companies globally, because of the change in the employee demographics, because most of these companies are becoming global, and also because of this pandemic, the work culture has also become hybrid. So this is also posing a different type of challenge in the talent management area, because earlier we used to have a more like a brick mortar type of talent management approach, but now given the hybrid type of work environment, the the talent management need to be a data and a technology driven talent management. When I say data and the technology driven, which means the people, they are working from different areas, so they need to basically look at the interconnected pieces of the HR ecosystem rather than getting into the individual pieces, and then basically pulling out what is relevant for them. Let me give you a very small example around this piece. For example, somebody who is joining new to the company as at the time of hiring, or let's say during the time of interview, we know which all the areas he would like to we should emphasize on, which is a part of his interview feedback. So can the same get into the learning and development program for him as soon as he joins, so that he can, as soon as he joins, he know what are the learning programs he need to go through. So I think this is what I mean by the interconnected. Second piece, which is equally very important now for the HR and for the other corporate applications also, the user experience. Because when you look at these user in the hybrid environment, these are the users who are basically shopping on Amazons, who is basically chatting with their friends on Facebook, and who are tweeting. So they would expect the same type of user experience when they look at the corporate applications. So I think that is a second challenge which we have, and I think we have to work towards it, is how do we provide the consumer based user experience. So I would call it as consumerization of the applications is the second piece which we need to look at. Third, very important, because when everybody is working in a remote environment or a hybrid environment, then I think lot of data is getting generated. So again, the cyber security or the data security is very important. How are we are making sure the confidential data is maintained in a more confidential way. So and then when you are working in a global organization, and so there is again a GDPR which need to be followed for different countries. So I would again coin one more term over here, which is called globalization. We need to be global, but we need to have the local approach while we are dealing with the talent in a locally. For example, in Germany and France, you have a work council there, so you need to work very closely with them as compared to let's say Australia, or let's say Singapore, which is different, or Americas. let me give you a very small example. For example, COVID vaccination data I can definitely collect in US, I can collect in Australia, I can collect in India, but when it comes for UK, it is not allowed under the GDPR. Same is the case with France and Germany. So that poses a different type of challenges when you deal with the country specific thing, and it poses a different challenges for your talent management also.
What strikes me is kind of the relationship between those three things that you talked about. Taking a broader view and a unified view to talent management, kind of a life cycle approach. Then there's this consumerization of HR trend that you mentioned, and the importance of data in making that very experience feel close to home for folks. So it's kind of interesting how you've laid that out. So would love to hear about some new approaches that you've tried at Tata as you've thought about those three different areas in the future of talent management. What are some things you've tried? What's worked? What hasn't?
So I think in Tata, we are basically currently focusing on three different areas. One is, let me talk about the user experience. And I think before I jump into the user experience, I will tell you what problem we were facing and why we looked at this solution. And I think this may be true with a lot of organization who have grown inorganically over the period of time, especially in the APAC region. Because if you look at, we have close to 60 different applications in HR. We have core as one of the very famous HRIS, and then we have a peripheral application. So if you look at, there are multiple applications. So just think from the employee point of view, they have to get into the multiple applications, or they have to get into the specific application. So this also impacts the usage of the applications, because when they need, they will only get into those applications. So I think one thing which we are currently doing is, or we have already launched the phase 1 of it, and we call this as EVA. EVA is mobile only app for us. So there is no web version of it. And EVA stands for EVA. E stands for employee experience, and the VA stands for the value add we are trying to deliver through this application. The intent of it was so that we can provide more mobile friendly and access anytime, anywhere type of platform to the employees, so that they can basically manage the HR on their mobile phones or their iPads, rather than getting into the and definitely we can help them look at more the consumerization of the applications which we already have. So we develop a super app, and which is connected to the core systems, or let's say the core applications which we already have. So the actual functionality is of the core, and then we are delivering the experience to this super app, which we called it as EVA. And what we have done, because I think again, looking at the organization, we have different type of workforce which we have. One is the FTEs, which is full-time employees, and then we have the contingent workforce also. And for the contingent, we have two type of applications. One is EVA for employees, another is EVA for contractual employees, so that we are also able to maintain the legality of the categories of the employees, as well as we are able to manage them and give them the experience on their fingertips. So that was around the employee experience. Second thing which we are currently working on is called a ITM, which is called Integrated Talent Management Platform. As I told you, because we have different applications, and I think that's also true with a lot of other organizations, which means employee, for example, for their career and development, they have to get into one applications. For learning and development, they have to get into another application. The manpower planning is happening differently. The hiring is happening differently. So we have brought all together into one platform where the employees have their profile, and then from the profile, and they can see what are the jobs which are matching to their profiles using the algorithm at the back end. And thankfully, we are partnered with Eightfold in this. So we are using the Eightfold infrastructure at the back end to basically help the employee to match their profiles and the suitable job. Against that, they can see which are the skill gaps they have against the requirement. And then we have also integrated our learning and development over there. So once they look at the skill gap, they know which are the learning courses they need to do to basically fulfill or to complete those gaps. Along with the learning courses, they also get to see if there are the different certifications they need to do, or if there is any projects which is floating in the company, because we also have a platform which is called Project Marketplace, where all the projects are posted, so that everything he get to see in one platform, and he can have the holistic development approach there. Second piece is your hiring piece. If you look at in hiring, there are two type of hiring. One is where I have an open position, I go and hire. Uh, and again, because if you look at in most of the hiring, it is a reactive because I have to open a position, then the talent acquisition team basically goes and starts sourcing, sending me the resumes, and then the managers had to do that. But what we have done in this, as soon as the you open the job requisition or let's say job details or job specs, then definitely quickly with the help of the algorithm, you get to see what are the candidates matching to that role without your talent acquisition team coming to you and then telling you about this. Okay, these are the people, because you get to see from the internal talent pool also, from the external talent pool also, and then you can proactively shortlist and send it to the talent acquisition team and they can start working on it. Again, in this case also, we are using the Eightfold architecture at the back end because they have a very strong algorithm which can help us to achieve all this. And so we are using Eightfold in this. Now, the second type of hiring is as a part of workforce planning, because workforce planning is completed, let's say April of every or the start of every financial year. So we know what all hiring we need to do throughout the year. And every month we develop the outlook of it. So based on the outlook, we are showing them that these are the upcoming positions to the hiring managers. And there also we are using the same Eightfold algorithm to basically display them the matches as per the job required. And then if they like, then they can open up the JR right from that platform. So if you look at it, we are giving a one integrated platform where the learning can be done, the career can be developed, the hiring can be managed, the workforce planning can be managed. So everything can be managed through one single platform. So that is what we are doing. So whenever anybody make any transaction under the career development or hiring or anything, we have also created something which is called a cart. When you go to Amazon, shop something, you add to your cart, and in the cart, then you can make the final decision. And those carts are based on different things. Okay, these are the things you want to make the final. You want to go ahead and start paying and buy them, so you can make the final decision in your cart, and then you can basically submit, and the respective actions will happen. For example, if it's around the learning and development, then course will be pushed to the learning and development department, and it will be added under your learning and department portal, and it will be added under your favorite courses so that you can go and do that. Any shortlisting which you have done about the candidate, that will go to the talent acquisition team or the specific talent acquisition consultant so that he can take that ahead. So what we are trying to do is we are again creating a layer of where we are integrating everything together, and then we are delivering it to the employees. So again, connecting the dots and giving them the experience also, that is very, very important. So now coming to the third piece, which is equally very, very important, is the data. And data is very, very important because when you look at entire life cycle of the employees, the data get generated at every step of the life cycle. And this is a huge data, and that can give you a lot of insights around what the employee, or it could be a predictive insights which you can get, where I think a lot of companies are using it to predict the attrition, to predict the retention rate, attrition rate, and also to look at what is the talent building and buying approach they have, whether the organization is more toward building or the organization is more toward buying. And this data can basically help when you share these data with the managers or with the leaders, then that can help them to make more informed decision rather than making some assumptions around this. So I think yes, so data is very, very important, and I think that is also one of the areas where we are putting a lot of focus. And so although if you look at in Tata Communication, 95% of our reports are automated through Power BIs, through self-service, but now what we are doing is we are connecting the different data sets and trying to generate a story out of it, which can basically help the managers to make the talent decisions rather than just looking at the individual data and making the decision. So looking at the holistic data and making the right talent decisions.
Can you tell me a little bit more about some of those stories? What are some of the stories that you're equipping managers to tell with data and that are kind of AI powered as a result of this like unification of your talent strategy?
Okay. So let me start with the AI powered data which we have right now. So I think there we have partnered with Eightfold, and I think what we are doing is at the sourcing we are using the Eightfold, which means any resume, whether it's an internal referral, whether it's submitted by any consultant or anywhere it is coming, it directly goes to the Eightfold where it does the matching and basically help us to see the right fit of the candidate. And then so let me slightly help you understand what benefit we are getting out of here, because earlier than Eightfold we used to send a lot of resumes to the hiring managers, and then he has to go through all those number of resumes and then shortlist 10 or 15 out of it, and then finally go ahead and conduct the interviews. But right now with the help of Eightfold, what we are able to achieve is basically send the less number of resumes, to be more precise those who are 4 or 5 rated resumes, and then he just have to spend few minutes in looking at those resumes, and then basically uh, taking the interviews and then finalizing. So it has reduced the time which was invested by our talent acquisition consultants or our hiring managers. So it has drastically reduced that. So, and that also helps the managers to make the right hiring decisions, because they know these are the people who have these type of skill sets, because otherwise he has to go through piles of resume, which I think which is very, very challenging part of the for the hiring managers as a part of the talent acquisition. Second thing, uh, which is slightly futuristic, which we are trying to drive is, and with the help of Eightfold, and we are working with them right now, can we basically give the power of hiring in the hands of hiring managers, so that they can directly go on the platform, they can play with the platform, and then they can do the mismatch of the different type of skills they would like to look at. They can and then they can do the hiring or the shortlisting themselves, rather than uh, there is a talent acquisition person who is basically sending him, and then he is giving the feedback and doing all those things. uh, because this platform has a lot of flexibility, so you can search based on job requisition. You can also search based on the profiles you have shortlisted, because sometimes you may not be good at writing the job requisitions, but you know this is the kind of profile you like. You may have that profile within your organization, or you may like some resume which you have interviewed and you would like to hire, or you would like to meet more people with the same. So you can use that also as a base and start searching the people who matches that particular profile or the resume, and that gives you that. So I think so that is the second piece, and I think probably quickly we would like to start with 1 or 2 sample areas where how we can basically empower our hiring managers, and so that they can drive the hiring themselves. So so that is one part where we are using AI powered this thing. Second piece where we are using AI powered is basically especially in the learning and development areas, where the skills which the employee wants to develop. If you look at earlier, before using these algorithm earlier, it was very, very difficult, because he has to get into the ocean of different type of courses. Let's, for example, we have 7 MOOC platforms. If you look at Coursera's, the Skillsoft of the world, getting there, finding out the right course is very, very difficult. So AI helps them to basically look at the skill they are looking at developing, and then it sorts the right courses for them. And then it also understands, let's say, if you have done certain type of course in the past, it will not include those, or let's say what your peers are doing, because in any organization you have multiple type of employees. Some knows what need to be done, and some basically are confused and they would like to follow. And I think so both that type of employees are equally important. So you need to help them how they can basically achieve. So I think community learning, which also get through this. Last part is where we are connecting the dots. We are working on few projects I may not be able to disclose right now. Is there a way we can start predicting the attrition of the employees or the retention of the employees? Because we know how the employee has joined, the different life cycle data sets we have, the engagement data, the promotion data, the salary increment data, the market insights data. We have all these data together. So can we put and do some analysis around this? So we are working on some of the projects where we want to start using AI ML into those areas.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of walked through all of the pieces of the talent lifecycle there, which is great. You know, how does AI help um, during the hiring process, during the kind of onboarding, learning, continual growth, phase of an employee's journey, and then how do you predict attrition kind of on the back end? But I guess fast forward, 5, 10 years. So do you have an idea of what the future might look like? And are there places in the talent life cycle that you think AI can play an even bigger role than it's playing today?
Yeah. So if you look at, I think I may be wrong, but I'm just trying to predict that way. Because if you look at going forward, artificial intelligence, because it is, so artificial intelligence is nothing, it's an algorithm which is consuming the data. So I think AI will be playing a very, very critical role in the HR, right from not only in the talent management or let's say different aspects of HR, even in the business HR roles also, because there the managers will be able to make the right and the informed decisions using the AI. If you look at, there are different areas where we have started using the AI. When I say we, I'm talking about in the industry, the health and safety, the AI started using the well-being also, mental well-being of the employees. So all these areas the AI is already started. It is just that it has to start picking up the speed, and because of this pandemic, I'm telling you, the rate of transformation has suddenly increased, I think 4 or 5 times in every organization. And I think yesterday only I was reading some of the articles, and those may be India specific, but I'm sharing it with you. The rate of digital transformation has drastically improved, and because of which the demand of talent, especially the talents who are involved in the digital transformation, has gone up very high. And if you look at on an average, there are 60 to 70% hikes they are getting. I'm talking about the salary hikes, and then the people are holding 4 to 5 different offers in their hand, and now they are the choosers, so they have to choose which company they would like to join. So I think that is the situation we have. Yes, going forward, this will be the major differentiator between the best employers. And this is also, see, AI, people mostly think the AI means it is basically, it will take away the jobs. No, it is not going to take away the jobs. It is going to modify the jobs. The way you are doing right now, it is just going to modify. For example, I use a lot of bots in my HR shared service. It doesn't mean that I'm just taking away the jobs. It is just that the existing employees, I'm reskilling them, and they are being used for a different, more value added um, uh, processes, rather than simply doing the transactional jobs. So I think as we move forward, definitely organizations will have to become more and more cost focused. And I think the data has to play a very, very critical role, and I think that is where AI/ML will be most critical. I think 3 to 4 years. I can say in India it has already started, and in India next 3 years you will see it will become a very, very integral part of the entire operations of HR. Right now, only a lot of companies have started using for sourcing and learning and development, but I think over the time you will see it is being used for almost every areas of HR. Whether you talk about compensation management, whether you talk about attrition, whatever areas you talk about, it will be used in.
Makes sense. I mean, there's so much data out there, so it's really just about making sense of it and putting it to use in a number of different dimensions. So you talked about a lot of change that you've implemented at Tata when it comes to AI, when it comes to talent lifecycle. What other kind of culture mindset shifts needed to happen to prepare the organization to make these changes and adopt the technologies that helped bring this vision to life?
Change is something which nobody likes. Let me start with that. And in every organization you have different segments of employees. When I say segments, I'm talking about the different age groups. When you look at the early age groups like baby boomers, or let's say Gen X and all those, so they are easy to adapt to the technologies because they are anyways in their day-to-day life they use a lot of technologies. But when you move towards slightly higher side of the age group, that is where the change resistance is really very, very high. And when you look at the change curve also, which is again very, very important, so I think the people will definitely, to start with, will start resisting to that change. But I think it takes time. In some of the employee segment it can be easy, so you basically come through the change very easy. In some of the employee segments it is difficult. So I think very, very important part is how do you map, or how do you understand your stakeholders, and you map your stakeholders, and then you understand, okay, and see, because one size doesn't fit all. So you need to understand your stakeholders, map them, and then you need to start engaging with them in that way. So definitely the resistance is there. But one more thing which we need to clearly understand, because the market is moving at a very rapid speed, a very fast speed. very small example, if you look at US, the telecom organization has already gone through the transformation which India is looking right now. That kind of transformation. If you look at AT&Ts and the Verizons of the world, they have already gone through the type of transformation which we are looking. And I think they have already moved there, which I think a lot of the companies in the developing world, they are moving right now. So I think if that is on the organization, if they want to win, definitely they need to adapt to the change. But I think it is equally important for the change managers in the organization or the product owners in the organization. It also equally important how do they drive the change, and they cannot say, okay, use one for everyone. They have to understand their stakeholders and map the changes and then engage with them differently based on the change communications.
Well put. Well, thanks so much, Rahul. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I really appreciate the time. And thanks to everybody for tuning in and listening to the session.